Hello friends, welcome to another Tuesday Tales. I'm Miss Lynn and today I'm going to tell you the story about the Emperor's new clothes. Let's get started. Many years ago lived an emperor who thought so much of his new clothes that he spent all his money on them. His only ambition was to always be well dressed. He did not care about his soldiers or going to the theater or anything. The only thing he thought about was to go out and show himself off in his new clothes as often as possible. He had a coat for every hour of the day. A normal king would be busy ruling the kingdom, but this one, you'd say, the emperor's in his dressing room trying on new outfits. The great city where he lived was a very busy place. Every day, many strangers from all parts of the world arrived. One day, 2 swindlers came to the city and pretended that they were weavers. They said that they would make the finest cloth anyone could imagine. Their colors and patterns, they said, were not only beautiful, but were made of special material invisible to anyone who was not smart. That must be wonderful cloth, thought the emperor. If I were to be dressed in a suit made of this cloth, I would be able to find out which people in my kingdom are not smart and therefore should lose their jobs. I must have this cloth made for me without delay. And he gave a large sum of money to those rascals in advance so that they would get to work immediately. They set up the looms and pretended to be very hard at work. They asked for the finest silk and the most precious gold cloth. All the expensive material that they got, they hid away for themselves and worked at the empty loom till late at night. The emperor said, "Oh, how I'd love to know how they are getting along with the cloth." But he felt worried when he remembered that anyone who couldn't see it was not smart. So he thought that, of course, he would be able to see it, but decided to send someone else first to check just in case. Everybody in the town knew how remarkable the clothes were and were dying to see how bad or dumb their neighbors were. The emperor said, "I shall send my honest old minister to the weavers, and he can see how it looks because he's very smart." The good old minister went into the room where the swindlers sat before the empty looms. "Goodness gracious," he thought as he opened his eyes wide, "I cannot see anything at all." But he did not dare say so. Both swindlers told him to come near and asked him if he did not admire the lovely pattern and beautiful colors when they pointed to the looms. The poor old minister tried his very best, but he could see nothing, for there was nothing to be seen. "Oh dear," he thought, "can I be so dumb? I would never have thought so, and nobody must find out. Is it possible that I'm too dumb to do my job? No, I cannot admit that I wasn't able to see the cloth." "Have you got nothing to say?" said one of the swindlers, while he pretended to be busy weaving. "Oh, it's very pretty, really beautiful," replied the old minister, looking through his glasses. "What a beautiful pattern! What brilliant colors! I will tell the emperor that I like the cloth very much." "We are pleased to hear that," said the 2 weavers, and described to him the colors and explained the curious pattern. The old minister listened carefully so he would be able to tell the emperor what they said, and so he did. Now the swindlers asked for more money, silk and gold cloth, which they said they required for more weaving. They kept everything for themselves, and not a thread came near the loom, but they continued as before to pretend to work on the empty looms. Everybody in the whole town talked about the precious cloth. At last, the emperor wished to see it himself, while it was still on the loom. With a number of assistants, including the 2 who had been there already, he went to the 2 clever swindlers, who now worked as hard as they could, but without using any thread. "Is it not magnificent?" said the minister who'd been there before. "Your Majesty must admire the colors and patterns." And they pointed to the empty looms, for they expected that the others could see the cloth. "What is this?" thought the emperor. "I do not see anything at all. This is terrible. Am I dumb or too stupid to be an emperor?" That would indeed be the most terrible thing that could happen to me." "Really," he said, turning to the weavers, "your cloth is really, really wonderful." He nodded contentedly as he looked at the empty loom because he did not want to say that he couldn't see anything. All his attendants who were with him looked, and although they couldn't see anything, they said to the emperor that it was very beautiful. And all advised him to wear the new magnificent clothes at the great procession that would soon take place. "It is magnificent, beautiful, and excellent." Everybody seemed to be delighted, and the emperor appointed the two swindlers the imperial court weavers. The whole night before the day on which the procession was to take place, these two rascals pretended to work and burn more than 16 candles. They wanted people to see that they were busy finishing the emperor's new clothes. They pretended to take the cloth from the loom and worked about it in the air with big scissors and sewed with needles without thread. At last said, "The emperor's new clothes are ready now." The emperor and all his barons then came to the hall, and the swindlers held their arms up as if they held something in their hands and said, "These are the trousers, this is the coat, and here is the cloak," and so on. They are all as light as a cobweb, so light in fact that it feels as if you have on nothing at all. But that is just the beauty of the clothes. "Indeed," said all the assistants, but they could not see anything, for there was nothing to be seen. "Does it please your majesty now to undress," said the swindlers, "that we may help your majesty in putting on the suit in front of the mirror?" The emperor undressed, and the swindlers pretended to put on the new suit, one piece after another. The emperor looked at himself in the glass from all sides. How well they look! How well they fit! What a beautiful pattern! What fine colors! That is a magnificent suit! It was announced that it was time to start the procession. "I am ready," said the emperor. "Doesn't my suit fit me wonderfully?" Then he turned once more, looking at the glass so that people would think he was admiring his clothes again. The emperor marched to the procession under a beautiful canopy, and all who saw them in the street and out the window exclaimed, "Indeed, the emperor's new suit is amazing! How it fits him so well!" But nobody wanted to admit that they saw nothing, because then it would mean that they were dumb. Never were the emperor's clothes more admired. At last, the boy piped up, "But he has nothing on at all. He's completely nude." "Good heavens, I'm so sorry about that," said the embarrassed father. "He's just a simple boy who doesn't know any better." But soon the whole crowd was whispering what the child had said. "He does have nothing on at all," cried all the people, realizing the truth. The emperor suddenly realized that they were right, but he thought to himself, "Now I must keep pretending until the end, or I'll even look more dumb." So the emperor tried to walk with even greater dignity while the crowd laughed and teased him all the way to the end. Afterwards, he sent his soldiers to arrest the two swindlers, but they had fled the city with all the money and precious material. For the rest of his days, people joked about the time the emperor went for a parade with no clothes on, and he never lived it down. The end. All right, now we're going to sing a song about a walrus washing his winter coat. Ready? Oh, the walrus washes his winter coat down by the wavy ocean. He adds some water and he adds some soap, and he waits and he waits and he waits. Then the laundry shakes and shakes and shakes. The laundry shakes and shakes. The laundry shakes, shakes and shakes until it's clean again. Great job! I hope you had as much fun as I did today. Please join us next time for another Tuesday Tales, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook. Bye!